This is Optimal Living Daily episode 2366, How to Deal with Expectations, and 5 Steps to Envision Your Ideal Life, both by Shirley of daringliving.com. And I'm Justin Malik, the guy that reads to you every single day of the year, including weekends and holidays. 2 posts today, one talking about expectations, which I just talked about in the commentary from yesterday's episode. Highly recommend checking that one out. But with that, let's get right to the 2 posts as we optimize your life. How to Deal with Expectations by Shirley of daringliving.com. Hey friend, let's talk about expectations. Expectations from your parents, from your partner, from your boss, and from your peers. If you're a millennial in your 20s to early 30s, this is a phase where a lot of us are still navigating through life, trying to figure out what we want to do and learning about what's important to us. Because we're still discovering ourselves when we receive expectations from others, it can be very likely for us to take on others' expectations thinking that we have to meet up to that. Here are some tips on how you can get out of that mindset. How to deal with expectations. Number 1, identify what's your stuff versus other people's stuff. When people give you expectations, it is their stuff, not yours. The expectations others set for you come from their own thoughts, beliefs, past experiences, values, how they're taught growing up, what they're familiar with, etc. You get the point. It has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. As a person on the receiving end of the expectation, you can choose to make it mean however you want because you're always in control of your thoughts. Number 2, you can choose not to take on others' expectations if you don't want to. Decide if you want to value what this person has to say. You can choose to think about the expectation however you want. Now, this doesn't mean there won't be consequences because you are always responsible for your actions and what you do. If your boss expects you to arrive on time and you are late, then your boss might be upset and you might lose your job. So you can decide to take on that expectation and decide to be the reliable employee that your boss wants you to be. Know that it is your choice. You always have the power, not others. Number 3, be curious about why others have the expectation about you. When you feel that someone is dumping his or her expectation on you, instead of being defensive, what you can do is approach the situation with curiosity. Why would the person expect this of you? Most of the time, it's almost always about the other person. But sometimes it can also be because you've been acting a certain way and not communicating what you actually want. If you never communicate to your partner that you want him or her to do the dishes, of course, he or she is going to keep expecting you to do it. And number 4, create distance and filter out the noise if you need to. Sometimes we can receive expectations from those around us who we love, and we don't necessarily agree with how they want us to be. They can be your parents, your partner, or your close friends. If your parents want you to pursue a certain career path, but you know that deep down you're meant to do something else, you've got to create distance and filter out the noise. Let other people be themselves while you can choose to keep doing what you do. Now, I'm speaking from personal experience, by the way, so I can totally understand. Because ultimately, this is your life. You get to take ownership of it and make choices for yourself. You get to take actions forward and start creating a life that you truly love. 5 Steps to Envision Your Ideal Life by Shirley of daringliving.com. Have you ever wished to get more out of your life or felt that your life could be a whole lot better? Have you thought about what your ideal life would look like? We create what we imagine. We become who we aspire to be. Here are 5 steps to start envisioning and creating your ideal life and getting clear with what you really want. Number 1, imagine your ideal life 10 years from today. Start by thinking about what kind of person you want to be in 10 years and the type of lifestyle you want to live. Number 2, write out that ideal life into words. Write them out into sentences in paragraph form. The key is to write everything out in present tense as if you're living the life right now. Write them out as detailed as possible. Take all the time you need for this. It's really important to know what it is you truly desire. Here are some questions to guide you along. In 10 years, answer in the present tense, what kind of person are you? What are some key traits that define you? What is important to you? What are your values? What kind of people are around you? Who do you interact with the most? What kind of person do other people see you as? What do you do for fun? Where do you hang out? What hobbies do you have? What type of job are you doing? What is your work environment like? Where are you living? What is your living environment like? Are you living by yourself or with someone else? Do you have a pet? Number 3, write out a typical day of your ideal life. Again, write it out in present tense from waking up to going to bed. Number 4, place the paper somewhere where you can see it every day. I pasted mine on my bedroom mirror and also wrote it out again in my bullet journal. And number 5, read it out loud to yourself every day. Take the time after waking up every morning or before bed every night to read out the paragraph to yourself. You're reading it as if you are that person and living your ideal life right now. Really make this exercise into a daily mantra for yourself. You cannot really strive to be your best self if you're not clear with what you truly desire. At first, that life may feel very unreal to you. Your ideal self may seem like a completely different person. But I promise you that over time, as you reread who you really are over and over again, those words will be engraved in you. Because we all have the ability to be our best selves in this world. It may not happen overnight, but it will happen. You just have to be patient. The first step is to envision your dream life and know what you want. Then you can start planning and take actionable steps toward that life. You just listened to the post titled, How to Deal with Expectations and 5 Steps to Envision Your Ideal Life, both by Shirley of daringliving.com. And thank you to Shirley. I really like the idea of writing out what your ideal day would look like, because I'm guessing that while we have a little idea of things we wish we were doing right now, we probably don't know on a day-to-day basis what that would actually be from the time we wake up until we go to sleep. Even what time we'd wake up. What does that day really look like? What does breakfast, lunch, and dinner look like? Who would you see? Where would you be? At home or out and about? And honestly, your ideal day wouldn't be ideal if it was every day of the week, most likely, because we all need variation in our days, but it's still helpful to think about because we can then take the steps necessary to make some of those things happen. Without writing it down and actually thinking about it, we likely won't make much progress at all. So try to write it out if you can. If not, at least give it some extra thought and attention today. Have a great ideal day, and I'll be back tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.